I'm back.
Are you Tony Stank?
Hello, yes, welcome back. Welcome back to Delivery for Tony Stank and MCU podcast. We are finally back at it. I apologize for the break, the extended break. The whole plan was to do Hawkeye Part 1, which was episode 1 to 3, and then Part 2, episode 4 to 6 over Christmas. I obviously got Part 1 out, which you guys all listened to and enjoyed, of course, or watched. And things went a bit tits up. Yeah, I couldn't mentally or physically kind of do the next part, the Hawkeye Part 2. I had to have an extended break, but we are now back. We are now back with plenty of MCU content. Now, before we get into Hawkeye Part 2, I just want to thank everyone for sticking by me and for being so supportive. Over this last, what was it? December was the last one that came out, wasn't it? Yeah, 26th December, Boxing Day, was Part 1 when that came out. So, thank you so much, everyone that has stuck by during the hiatus. Of course, a massive shout out to my my Ko-fi supporters as well. So Kev, Gino, Todd, Mikey, Jamie, and Snez, guys, I really appreciate all your support. And yes, thank you so much for sticking by me while I've got a cat joining me while I have been taking a wee break. But we are back now with a wee pussycat who wasn't here last time, but he is here now, so he's going to be helping out, of course. So yes, we are going to be doing Hawkeye Part 2, and I will also be having Moon Knight Part 1. And of course, Spider-Man No Way Home as well that we'll be chatting about. With Hawkeye, it was a while ago since I watched it. I did actually watch it again over Christmas and New Year. So I can't remember too much. I have rewatched it again. I've rewatched parts of it. I'm just going to talk about the big moments, the important things to kind of chat about. So I'll keep it nice and short, relatively short. I know you don't want to hear me going on for ages and ages and ages like I'm doing right now. But yes, let's get into it. So if you can cast your mind back so many months ago, you'll remember that the episode 3 of Hawkeye ended with Jack Duquesne holding Ronin's I was going to say knife, but it's more a sword, up to his throat after Kate and Clint were caught breaking into, or I mean, say breaking in, but they were in Kate's mum's place, trying to find out more about the Sloan Limited and who is behind all that. It actually turns out pretty good for them in that as soon as Jack sees that it's Hawkeye and Kate, he doesn't go as far as to stab him in the throat or slice his throat, which is always a good thing. And it kind of goes a bit better than they expected. So they get away without a scratch. After some digging, they do find that there's something more sinister going on with Sloan Limited, and Hawkeye digs a wee bit deeper. Now, Hawkeye is now... Sorry, this cat is being so cute. Hawkeye is recuperating in the apartment that they have holed up in, and Kate brings Christmas to Clint in the way of their movie marathon. This is what he'd be doing with his kids at home. It's a Christmas tradition, is going through the movies and stuff. So Kate takes the movie to him, and they have a nice little night in, nice little Christmas night in. It's lovely. It's lovely and warm and Christmassy, which obviously was months ago. But yes, it's brilliant. Hawkeye drops the bombshell that Jack is the CEO of Sloan Limited, and that's what's been going on in the background. Ooh. After a little chat and a heart to heart during the movie marathon, Clint actually kind of comes clean, or he's questioned a little bit by Kate about Ronan, and comes clean the fact that he was Ronan, and that's how he or knows him, but he was him, of course, obviously. And then there's like a kind of a dream flashback thing that Clint has, or it's like a daydream sort of thing about Natasha and her death. So Kate gets to meet our LARPers, our friendly LARPers, the guild, try to find the Chicaros, or the Chicaros that are held with the held by someone who has an association with the LARPers. So Kate chats with them and brings them into the kind of the fold, and they are they basically become good pals. They become good pals, and the LARPers give support to Kate and Clint. Clint gets a text about the Rolex and how it's actually kept. It wasn't destroyed at the Avengers compound, and it was actually kept at an address which they're going to need to go to. This obviously leads then to Clint and Kate going to this address, which is like a apartment complex, where they're on a rooftop. They scope it out. Kate actually decides to go in and try and find the Rolex, and had a lovely conversation with a man in an elevator when trying to talk to when actually talking about Hawkeye. Again, Haley Steinfeld's brilliant at this part. Like, the whole thing should be fantastic. But yeah, she's great. She's absolutely great. She makes her way into the apartment, and there's like flashing lights and blah blah blah. And they actually work out it's an alarm for a deaf person. And while Kate is in the apartment, she is met by the one and only Maya, and they get into an altercation, where Clint says to Kate that Maya's on the roof with him, but actually Maya is obviously, we're seeing from Kate's point of view that Maya's in the room with her, but Clint is fighting somebody, a hooded figure, a masked figure with night vision, on the roof. So Kate and Maya both swing their way across to the rooftop where Clint is fighting this strange figure, this mysterious figure, and a battle ensues between the four of them, and then we all of a sudden see the bracelets, the red electric style bracelets, that incapacitates Maya. While Kate gets thrown off the roof by this figure as well. A big battle kind of ensues. They're able to kind of get the upper hand a little bit on Maya and the mysterious figure as well. Maya actually runs, and we actually see this person's face. She turns around, and who is it? It's Yelena Belova, of course, as we know her. The sister, or the I suppose adopt, or kind of sister, not biological, of course, of Black Widow herself, Natasha Romanoff. Kate doesn't know this, of course, but we do. And Natasha makes a quick getaway, with Clint then saying that this is his fight, and they're not partners. Him and Kate are not partners. And that's the end of episode 4 of Hawkeye. Then we're in episode 5. Episode 5 is such a strong opening. Opened in 2018 in like a foresty, snowy kind of rural location, with Yelena in her Black Widow, or her get up from Black Widow, and it's essentially starting off from where Black Widow ended. Essentially, Yelena and the other widows who've been freed, trying to free more widows. Obviously, this is a kind of older, or like a widow that has already been that was potentially, you know, at Natasha's age or been there longer than the others. It comes to that this widow Anna hasn't been affected by the chemical change to her brain that the newer widows had been in the Black Widow movie, due to the use of the chemical thing that is meant to release them, but it doesn't, because she's just absolutely fine. And they essentially get down to chatting. Then we get an incredible, harrowing, shocking scene where Yelena goes to the bathroom, wash her hands, and she gets blipped while she's in the bathroom. But for us watching this, or for her, from her perspective, it's literally seconds. The walls around her change, and she kind of is a bit of a shock, but comes out and sees Anna with her new family, and is explained that this is now 5 years later, and she's also been blipped. It was such a shock to see, and it was so well done. You know, we've not really seen that kind of perspective of being blipped before. Yeah, harrowing. Imagine that feeling. Imagine the feeling of you know, not knowing what's happening at all. The next sort of big scene, Kate returns to her apartment that's still kind of burnt out, and she gets to meet Yelena face to face, and they have this this chat, this sit down meal almost, around a pan of macaroni that Yelena's made. It's such an incredible interaction. I really, really love this. The performances from both Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld, who are two absolute incredible actresses. Like so I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but during the time of the first Hawkeye part, and recording this one, I actually watched Edge of 17, which was Haley Steinfeld. It's one of actually her most well-known performances, and she is incredible in that, like unbelievable. I spoke about True Grit last time, which was her kind of first sort of breakthrough. She was basically a kid, but Edge of 17, if you've not seen it, she is just fantastic in that film. I don't want to talk too much about it because we are a Marvel podcast, of course, but please go watch it. It's on Netflix. I've watched it twice now. She's brilliant. And of course, Florence Pugh. If you know me, you know that I'm a massive fan of Florence Pugh. In likes of Midsommar, you know, she's just fantastic, absolutely incredible. So these are two, you know, the futures of, well, I suppose they're already kind of established as being fantastic actresses. But the chemistry between them, the sort of the bouncing back and forth that they have is it's just brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. It's top tier, and that's one of the great parts. We'll kind of get into it more, but that's one of the great parts I loved about the second half of Hawkeye was any scene that they were in together is just brilliant, just absolute top tier like stuff, and I can't wait to hopefully see more of them together. So yeah, Kate and Yelena have a chat about Clint, actually, and about you know, a little bit about Natasha as well, and Yelena essentially says that she's, you know, there to kill Clint. This is something that we've kind of known from the, if you watched the Falcon and Winter Soldier, the post credits of that were sorry, the post credits of Black Widow, I think, was actually. But to do with Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was the lady that I can't even remember her name, that Julia Dreyfus plays, gives Yelena the you know, her next target, which is Clint. So it's obviously leading on from that. Clint gets a hold of the own suit again, and actually basically has a great fight with Maya, an interesting kind of fight where they both are pretty even. Maya can obviously hold her own against an Avenger, but finally Clint does best her and reveals himself to her, and even discusses, you know, the fact that it wasn't him that killed her dad. It was actually the boss that put out that hit. And Maya actually almost manages to kill Clint with his sword, with Ronin's sword, but Kate is able to shoot it with her hand with an arrow, and Clint manages to get away. Maya then speaks to her closest ally, the guy who does the sign language for her, and you can tell that she's kind of getting a bit suspect of him. He's very sus. He's a sus boy. Of course, the implication is that he's the informant that tipped off the boss, who got her dad killed. We then go back to Clint and Kate enjoying food with Grills, the guy from LARPing, and Kate actually gets a text from. It says unknown, but it's obviously Yelena. It starts off with Kate Bishop. I know who hired me. Found out who hired me, and she actually tells her that her mum hired Yelena to kill Hawkeye. And then Kate gives Clint a picture of her mum taken by Yelena with somebody, and Clint says this is the guy you've been worried about the whole time, and we find out that it is Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, from the Daredevil Netflix series, which is, I suppose, well, yeah, I don't really know how it kind of all ties in, to be perfectly honest, because this is obviously it's around about the time, or is it? I'm not sure how it ties in with the multiverse sort of side of things, but essentially what it's saying is that, you know, the Daredevil Netflix show is canon in the MCU, which is so strange to think, because we were always told that it was its own separate kind of thing, but you know, we're getting to the point where, yeah, they're all kind of together. And then that was the end of episode 5 of Hawkeye. So a lot of mystery, a lot of intrigue, a lot of you know, kind of curveballs thrown our way. Episode 6, we start off with meeting Kingpin, actually meeting Vincent D'Onofrio again. Looking, I don't know, looking a bit more almost human than he was in his heyday in Daredevil series. If you've ever seen the Daredevil series, it's very, very good, and he is an exceptional actor. He's great as Wilson Fisk, and he's almost superhero like, but he is essentially still a guy. He's still just a guy, but he's a, you know, very strong, very muscular, kind of massive figure in the underworld, especially around Hell's Kitchen in New York. The Netflix series have now moved on to Disney Plus in the Marvel side of it. So if you got Disney Plus, of course, if you're listening to this, you've probably watched them on Disney Plus as well. So I would definitely recommend going and watching them. Daredevil is probably the stronger out of all the Netflix series. They had some duds, but Daredevil was certainly one of the stronger ones, with some fantastic performances, of course, from Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, and of course Charlie Cox playing Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. So we see Kingpin here having a discussion, a business meeting with Eleanor Bishop, kind of a bit more insight into his relationship with her, and where she she talks about how she's setting up Jack to take the fall for Sloan Limited, but Kate's getting too close, and she doesn't want things to those kind of lines to blur, essentially. We then find out more about Maya and her relationship with Kingpin as well. It's obviously almost a fatherly, or what she thought was almost a fatherly relationship after her father had been killed or passed away. But we can see we sort of see there's a bit more to it than Kingpin kind of or than Maya kind of makes out, and Kingpin almost insinuates that Maya has found out what happened and has basically turned. Hawkeye and Kate make all these trick arrows, which is a cool montage. Need a montage. Things like magnetic arrows, and they use Stark equipment to create them. Again, it's just more, more with the partners, partners in crime. And yeah, they've hatched a plan to get into these to get into this party thing, and yeah, and find out more about what's gonna happen. Now in the party, Kate spots the one and only Yelena, who's obviously trying to kill Hawkeye, trying to kill Clint, and Clint, while looking out the window, sees a red dot from a sniper from across the way, and just narrowly manages to miss the shot. So yeah, it turns out the shot is from Kazi from across the way, Maya's sort of second in command kind of guy, and yeah, the party is then basically stopped, and Hawkeye makes a way to try and stop it, to try and stop Kazi. But of course, Yelena is not far behind, and Kate manages to kind of catch up with her, and again, we're now at another point where we're getting fantastic, great scenes between Haley Steinfeld and Yelena in the elevator. Yelena's trying to get to level 12 to catch Hawkeye, and Kate's trying to do whatever she can to stop her. Ends up like smashing all the buttons like you do as a kid on the elevator, just kind of slow her down. There's then a great kind of fight scene, or no, I suppose it is a fight scene, sort of between different rooms, between Yelena and Kate. They're very cordial, very having a joke about the fact that it's Christmas, let's have a drink. Yelena's like, I'll do it after I kill Barton, and you can tell that these guys are will be friends, will be friendly. But the scene's fantastic, moving across from each room to room, just a one tracking shot through each room. And when they get to the window, they actually end up stopping and kind of having like a buddy sort of moment. Kate's loved the thing, like I think Aboriginals in like Australia use them, like I can't remember what they're called, but it's like the balls on a string that you chuck at folk, and it hits her hand, and she's like, well, that really hurts. But she's like, yeah, no, great throw, and they talk about the kick to the ribs and stuff. The cool body throw that she does, it's such a great little bit. And Kate actually even says, stop making me like you, and Yelena says that that was really fun. It's brilliant. Again, every scene between the two of them is great fun. It's fantastic, and I really can't wait to see more of them. Yelena then lobs herself out the window, in her trying to kill Clint, and Kate, is able to actually go not long after using the Aboriginal kind of things. Clint has a fight with Kazi and some of the tracksuit mafia in at the level he was on, and his escape, he actually ends up jumping into the massive Christmas tree, and is met with an owl or a bird kind of thing in the tree. But yeah, again, a great sequence from the whole Kate and Yelena fighting to then Clint being stuck in the tree, just hanging out. He says, of course, fantastic pun. So the next kind of big scene, the next sort of big thing we get is the fight in the ice rink at the Rockefeller Center, where Kate and Clint are kind of surrounded by the tracksuit mob, and you saw the trick arrows. There's some really interesting ones, like the one that turns some guy's leg into ice, one that's like a massive sort of flashbang, one that shoots out a heap of nails and stuff, and there's like one that's kind of like it like attaches to the guy's leg and like flies him up like a kind of a rocket sort of thing. Again, a really cool kind of fun sort of scene, an inventive fight scene, inventive like arrows and things. It's there's one that shoots in a guy and then fires out sort of knockout darts and stuff. It's great. It's brilliant. It's really interesting. Really really kind of it's such an inventive sort of thing, and of course, Hawkeye and Kate end up besting them, end up beating them. Kazi is still there, and Maya, it looks like Kazi's gonna actually kill them, but Maya comes in and kind of stops him, and they have a kind of showdown. Maya's obviously well aware of what Kazi's done and things there, so they have a kind of showdown, and Yelena shows up, and also again has a showdown with Clint, and they talk about Natasha, and they talk about what Natasha sacrificed for the world, and Yelena doesn't believe her. Doesn't believe him. Now again, I've spoken about Florence Pugh, and I've spoken about her and Haley Steinfeld and their relationship. But Florence Pugh, like, no one does sadness and grief like she does. When the sides of her mouth go down in a kind of sad sort of like a sad face, like it's gonna be perfect. Like she's so good at playing that. And she does it so well here. The hurt of having lost her sister, but the grief of kind of not wanting to believe that Hawkeye did all he could, and I want to take the hate and the kind of the anger out on somebody. We then see Kingpin stretching his kind of his sort of muscles, and his sort of his kind of manipulation on Eleanor, and trying to stop her or pull out the car, and Kate kind of stops him, but he catches her arrow, uses his physical strength to kind of overcome her, but Eleanor like absolutely smashes him with the car, and he goes flying into this in this kind of toy store. Again, we see kind of Maya and Kazi fighting and things, and Maya actually ends up killing Kazi, of course, very emotional. And Kate traps, all while this happening, Kate traps herself in with Kingpin in this sort of toy store, and they have a showdown as well. So basically, Yelena bests Clint, and he does the little whistle, again from Black Widow, this kind of secret whistle they had from when they were kids and stuff, and Yelena then kind of comes to the realization that Clint loved Natasha, as a sister as much as she kind of did. Kate uses the trick arrows to actually set off a mass chain reaction that incapacitates Kingpin, so he's kind of knocked out as well. She does the old flick of the thing, fires his Kingpin's cufflink, the arrows, and that incapacitates him. Where and all while outside, she actually gives up her mum to the police, because of all the shady stuff that her mum has done, in all this time, sort of thing. So that's Kate coming to the realization that she needs to be better than her mum, needs to you can't just be a vigilante. She needs to do the right thing. Yelena leaves Clint. Again, performance from Florence Pugh is outstanding here. And we see Kingpin gets face to face with Maya, who draws a gun at him, and then and there's a gunshot. What does this mean for Kingpin going forward? Does this mean that, is that last him? Do we just of all we've seen from him? Is it just going to be a couple episodes in a 6-episode Disney Plus show? I don't know, but I'm really interested to see if there's a way they can bring him back. We know he is so resilient. Is a gunshot enough to end him? Of course, in all this as well, Jack has been kind of cleared. He didn't know anything about the bits and pieces that were happening, so he wasn't actually the bad guy all along. He's actually a good guy, and he was just doing what he thought was right, and he ended up actually saving Kate during this whole hubbub with the tracksuit mafia. And Clint actually ends up inviting Kate to come back to his family home for Christmas with his family, and she gets to meet them and almost be accepted into our family, after essentially losing hers, with her mum now in jail, her dad of course dead. And Clint gives the Rolex to his wife, and on the back of it is actually Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the number 19. Obviously again hinting that she was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And yeah, that's kind of the end of the Hawkeye series. Of course, there is a post-credit scene with the song from the musical, the Steve Rogers musical. This got a lot of hate. The post-credit scene got a lot of hate from a lot of people, because it is just a musical song from this fake Steve Rogers musical. But it's great fun. I loved it. I thought it was a brilliant way to end what was again a relatively fun and exciting and interesting kind of TV show. So yeah, I know that people want these these post credit scenes that set up the next wave, the next phase, the next sort of thing. But I thought it was quite a good kind of a palate cleanser for a lot of seriousness that we've been through in a lot of these movies, a lot of these TV shows, and of course a lot of these post credit scenes as well. I think there's a quite a lot of weight put on post credit scenes, so it was nice to have something friendly, upbeat. Yeah, it was good. So there we are at the end of Hawkeye part 2. So Hawkeye episodes 4, 5, and 6. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the series. I really loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a fantastic, relatively short, relatively straight to the point. It was 6 episodes set over Christmas. And introduced us to exactly what we wanted. Hawkeye's always been known as like the sort of like the weaker Avenger, or he's not really had as much to do. Certainly in the first Avengers film, I think Jeremy Renner was actually quite annoyed that he had so little to do. So it was good to get more about Hawkeye and see more about what he does on a day-to-day sort of basis, and the fact that he is a human. And of course, introducing Kate Bishop is going to be great. She's Haley Steinfeld. I can't talk enough about her. She's absolutely fantastic. Yelena Belova as well. We've seen her obviously in the Black Widow film, and it was great to see more of her as the kind of the foil to our hero of the piece, which was excellent. Of course, in the comics, these guys, so Yelena and Kate, have been part of like the Young Avengers and things as well, or the West Coast Avengers, I think it was, or maybe even both, to be honest. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that going forward. But if we're getting more Kate Bishop, if we're getting more Yelena, if we're getting more Haley Steinfeld and more Florence Pugh, that's only a good thing. That's only a good thing, and I can't wait to see some more of them. So overall, fantastic. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, kind of what I'm trying to do now at the end of these sort of shows is give them kind of a score. So for me, out of 10, I would say Hawkeye is a well. Thinking about I kind of have to think about the movies differently to the TV shows, because I know that with like Eternals, I gave it like I think it was a 6. I think Shang-Chi I gave 8. So they're kind of like a different sort of kettle of fish. But in terms of TV shows, Hawkeye overall, I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's probably something that I'll actually watch over Christmas, over and over again. It was really, really fantastic. So yes, 8 out of 10 for Hawkeye. Pew. And that's us done. That's us done with the comeback with the Hawkeye part 2. Again, thank you everyone that's stuck by me during this kind of break. I try not to yabber on too much. I don't want it to be too, like, one of those that goes on and on and on and on. Of course, it probably feels like it, but yes, I'm really happy with the fact that I'm now back doing this. Again, massive shout out to the people that supported the Ko-fi. If you want to, again, the link is up here. So it's ko-fi.com/delivery for Tony Stank. For as little as £2 per month, you'll be entered into the free draw. Well, of course, not a free draw because you're paying £2 a month, but into the draw for Marvel merch. I'm not just going to be doing pops now. I'm actually be looking at kind of branch out a little bit more. Potentially doing things like potentially clothing or stuff like that. We'll kind of see as it goes. Keep an eye out, of course, on the Twitter for that as well at Delivery MCU. We'll be kind of chat more about that, and of course, interact on there as well. It's always great to speak to, of course, similar MCU lovers. So yes, the Ko-fi guys. So Kev, Todd, Mikey, Jamie, and Snez, thank you so much for keeping up support there. Of course, as well, massive thank you to Corky. To Corky for doing the overlays. He's also done us a new logo as well. So if you go into the Delivery Twitter page, you'll see it on there. I will pop it up on here as well soon. So you will see it. It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. And I want to integrate into merch and stuff as well going forward. So that'll be something to look out for as well. But guys, thank you again so much for listening. And of course, remember to come back for Moon Knight, Spider-Man No Way Home, and of course we're going to have Doctor Strange coming out in a couple of weeks as well. So a lot of stuff on the horizon. But guys, thank you so much. Lovely to see you all again, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye.